So what is going on? This is the Club of Demand, 1993 coming at you, and we are now on the 20th edition of my WWE Summerslam Retro Review Series, as we're now on the 20th edition of SummerSlam. SummerSlam 2007. And unfortunately, it's not one of my favorite ones I've watched so far. To me, it's one of the worst. I still thought SummerSlam 1995 was one of the worst due to, the star power and whatnot. This show was almost on that level, I felt, in my honest opinion. I don't know, this show just felt very lackluster. Like a lot of matches that could have been good, but just felt lazy. There was nothing to them. There's only one match on this show that I thought was actually pretty good and felt like it was a big deal, and that was the main event between John Cena and Randy Orton. Well, I think one of the first matches they ever had, or maybe the first match they ever had. But other than that, this show for the most part felt like it was just another episode of Raw. Like, it felt like a show that was setting up for something bigger to come with a lot of these matches. And yes, I get it. You can't have, always have, all these matches, before a pay-per-view, until, a big match at SummerSlam. I get it. Some of these matches you got to save till SummerSlam. But a show like SummerSlam shouldn't be a show, setting the table for things yet to come, if you know what I mean. Like, it should be, it could take things to a different direction, like a big, moment or whatnot. But this show just felt like a lot of stuff was that way, or just again, it just felt like an episode of Raw. It didn't feel like a big deal of a pay-per-view, in my opinion. So that's why it really hurt my grade for this show, in my honest opinion. It was just a show that just felt like it was just setting up for other things yet to come. I mean, that's more so for the pay-per-view beforehand or whatnot, if you want to do that, or again, fresh matchups that are meant to take place at big events. You know what I mean? But let's get to it. Not much more to say because I just didn't really like this show. Again, probably one of my least favorite storylines, and possibly one of the worst SummerSlams of all time, I gotta say. SummerSlam 2007. The date was August 26th, 2007, at the Izod Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This is also the last SummerSlam in the TV-14 era also. And let's just get right into the show and get right through this. This wasn't really that great of a show. We started off with a match with Kane and Finlay. You wanted an opening match to be some match going to, get you, really into the show, fired up, like a good way to warm up the crowd, open up, Owen and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10. Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 2002, I believe it was. That was a great match. AJ Styles and Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 33. An excellent match. Seth Rollins, Miz, and Finn Balor for the IC title at WrestleMania 34. A great match. Even, I can go on and mention some great opening matches. This was not a good opening match at all. It was boring. It was slow. It was underwhelming. It just focused most of the time on Kane's injured ribs and how he couldn't do the choke slam because of his injured ribs. And, Finlay and Hornswoggle were taking advantage of that. Just didn't really care. It wasn't too great of an opening match. Kane eventually won out by finally hitting a choke slam like 2 or 3 times, trying to attempt to pick Finlay for a choke slam. It was just a bland match. Didn't really get the crowd excited at all. Got me pretty tired, actually. I almost fell asleep watching this match. But that's all I can really say. Kane and Finlay, not a good opening match at all. Kane wins by pinfall. We had some backstage segment with Vince McMahon talking to Coach about English women and whatnot, and how, what he would do with them, pretty much, if he would get on with them or what. It was just weird. I just don't know. If it's just me, I don't know if this bothers anybody else, but does it feel weird that the owner of the company was writing himself or approving of him doing these things, like making out with all these different women, especially the young ones? I mean, this show he made out with Mae Young in a backstage segment, randomly out of nowhere, just because T14 gotta have some extreme in there and whatnot. But is this me, or did anybody else find it weird that Vince McMahon would write himself be making out with people like Sable or Tori Wilson or Trish? Just it just looked weird, and the fact that he also wanted to write a storyline where he was the father of Stephanie's child, early in the 2000s or what. I don't get it. Just kind of a little bit of a turn off there. I'm just like, why would you you're the owner of the company, but then again, you're writing yourself to be hitting on younger women and having hitting on you. So it just feels weird. So I'm that's why I'm looking forward to kind of getting out of the TV-14 era, because stuff like that just turns me off. But yeah, just him and Coach randomly talking about English women. I don't know what it was. It was just pointless to fill time. We then had a triple threat match. It was Umaga taking on Mr. Kennedy and Carlito for the Intercontinental Championship. I guess Umaga was somewhat of a babyface at this time. It was rumors that Umaga was supposed to face a guy from from the movie Jackass in this at this pay-per-view. And also I think there's rumors of him facing Jeff Hardy also, but it didn't go through. I forgot why. I guess we already had 2 returns, or I can't remember why I read that they didn't do Umaga versus Jeff Hardy. But instead we got a triple threat match with Umaga, Mr. Kennedy, and Carlito. This just felt like another match. I was just like just 3 random people just thrown together just to have a match. Like, it felt like a match you could have had on Raw. Like, it felt like on the same level as like Big Show, Miz, and Ryback at SummerSlam 2015. Just like 3 random guys just thrown into a triple threat match for the IC title. I mean, this match was average, I mean, Umaga won with the Samoan Spike. I don't know, again, Umaga, at this point just seemed like he was, he was already, got some of the momentum cut off by John Cena, after he lost at the last Best Day match and whatnot. And then there was also rumors also, again, this was around the time, at first, when the storyline fell through, that Mr. Kennedy was scheduled to get a really big push before, I believe, a suspension and then an injury costed him all that pretty much. And I think that he was supposed to feud with John Cena after this, I think, rumors have it. But I didn't go through it all. So, I mean, the match itself, a triple threat, was average, but I just felt like it was just randomly thrown together pretty much. Probably had nothing else to do for Umaga. Umaga retains the title with a Samoan Spike to Mr. Kennedy. And we had Rey Mysterio taking on Chavo Guerrero at SummerSlam for the 2nd year in a row. Last year, Mysterio and Guerrero started the feud after Mysterio lost the world title to King Booker last year. Because it was a year where Rey Mysterio is pretty much, doing everything for Eddie when dedicate his Royal Rumble win and win the championship for Eddie. Because apparently rumors have it was supposed to be Eddie Guerrero getting that spot that Rey Mysterio got. In 2006, it led to Chavo Guerrero, getting jealous and then saying he's not a true Guerrero. He should be the one living in his father's, or his uncle's footsteps, not him, not Rey Mysterio, his friend, whatnot. So I guess they feuded last year. They had like some type of I Quit match, which he got Mysterio to quit after Guerrero just kept striking Mysterio knee with the chair. It was meant to write off Mysterio for about 10 months because he had knee surgery, and this is his first match back since. And him and Guerrero picked up where we left off. This match wasn't too bad. I actually did kind of like this match. The story told here, in the on SmackDown show 2 weeks earlier, that Guerrero was pretending to be Rey Mysterio and trying to mock him and whatnot, and how what was going to happen to Rey Mysterio if he shows up at SummerSlam and whatnot. He's going to re-injure him again and put him out. Mysterio came out dressed up with all this silver. I forgot what he was supposed to try to be, but he looked like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. And I thought it was good back and forth action for the most part. Storyline there, of course, Guerrero was going after the knee again of Rey Mysterio, and then three times Mysterio attempted to do the 619. The first 2 times though, the knee gave out, or the second time also, Guerrero got out of the way in time. But the third time he was able to hit the 619 on Guerrero and eventually finish him off with that splash he does to get the victory, get his momentum back. I believe they did have another I Quit match eventually, and I think Mysterio did get Guerrero to say I quit. But I think around this time it was when Vicky was starting to get turned heel also. I can't remember when it was, but Vicky eventually did turn heel on Rey also, I believe. Well, at least she did, whenever Mysterio feuded with Edge at the Royal, like at the beginning of 2008 also. So yeah, Rey Mysterio wins. I thought this match wasn't too bad. It's one of the better matches of the show, I thought, but that's just saying a lot. It wasn't really a great match, but it was still good to solid, I felt. So Rey Mysterio gets to win in this first match back in over 10 months. We had a number 1 contenders Diva Battle Royal. I'm not going to name everyone who was in the match. Match was whatever it was. It was okay. Beth Phoenix got the win. It was just, a way to, get Beth Phoenix's momentum going as a future Hall of Famer. I mean, Beth Phoenix was talented, but, with the generation she was in for women's wrestling, it didn't have too many people to make her feel, that important or that great. I mean, she was great. It was just, watched in the Hall of Fame, I agree. Beth Phoenix wins the Battle Royal, though, becoming the one contender for the Divas title, and I believe she would go on to win the Divas title shortly down the line as well. We had MVP in the ring. He challenged Matt Hardy to a beer drinking contest. Hardy came out saying that MVP substituted himself out of a boxing match, so Hardy's going to substitute himself out of this beer drinking contest as well. And then it being Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out and hitting MVP with the stunner, which it's always enjoyable to see Stone Cold Steve Austin stun someone. So that was that. Then we have backstage segment again with Crime Time. I think they're going to be Vince's son. This is before the big revealing of who Vince McMahon's illegitimate son is, which ended up being Hornswoggle, even though at first it was supposed to be Mr. Kennedy. But again, I told you that all those plans got scrapped due to Mr. Kennedy's injury and his wellness policy violation, which pretty much led him out the door for WWE eventually. I mean, I know he was around for a little bit in 2008 because he had a match with Ric Flair at Elimination Chamber in 2008 when Ric Flair was having matches with his career on the line. So yeah, Crime Time, of course, wasn't his son then. I guess, like, William Regal tried doing some type of, like, bad English dance also with Crime Time, but, it just looked bad. We had John Morrison taking on CM Punk for the ECW Championship. Match was decent. It definitely could have been a lot better. I mean, it was just two young upstarts, on the rise of their careers. I mean, John Morrison, he was, of course, he eventually became the Miz's tag team partner for a while. CM Punk, we all know where he ended up going, but match was decent. Could have been better with two younger stars. They had some random finish at the end, though, because Morrison was the heel at the time, where he was supposed to put his foot on the rope, but he didn't completely get it there to completely sell it and whatnot well enough. Morrison gets the win. It was still decent, but I definitely expected a little bit better from these two, for sure. Morrison gets the win. Triple H versus Booker T. This was also Triple H's first match back in a while due to an injury also. Yeah, Triple H versus King Booker with Queen Sharmell. Booker T saying he's going to bow. Triple H will bow down to the King and whatnot. Match was just a short squash match. It's just a shame because, these two, future Hall of Famer, Booker T is a Hall of Famer now, but Triple H is a future Hall of Famer as well. I don't know. Again, like Booker T, especially last year when he faced Batista, wasn't too impressed really with the match at all. This match, I liked it a little bit better, but it just felt average. It's like a squash match just to put over Triple H with his big return. I mean, at this point, Booker T probably didn't really need anything else to, make himself into it. He had nothing to lose at this point. He was going to be going to the Hall of Fame anyways, but just showed that his run WWE wasn't really one of the greatest, especially as he was a WCW guy. WWE didn't book the WCW guys or promotion people that well at all because, they had to book people who they created, not who other people create, because they're just that stubborn. So Triple H wins a match, potential squash match. We see Vince McMahon make out with Mae Young, whatever. We had this match. By far the worst match of the show. And I barely even watched because I did not care. The Great Khali, the World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Batista. Again, Great Khali was only the champion because, again, first, Mr. Kennedy won Mr. Money in the Bank. And again, he was set up for like a big push eventually to face Triple H at WrestleMania 24. He's supposed to be the illegitimate son for Vince McMahon. I've said this how many times, but then those plans fell apart. And then instead they passed on the Money in the Bank briefcase to Edge, who would cash in on The Undertaker. And Edge became champion, but those plans fell apart. So that, because Edge got hurt. So then they needed another, monster heel. So who do they choose? The freaking Great Khali. And we all know I do not like the Great Khali. He was boring. He did not deserve that spot because he was 7'4". He couldn't wrestle. He couldn't do anything special at all. And that's what happened in this match with Batista. Batista deserves so much better. I mean, I think Batista towards the end of the match, because the problem is, like, when this match came on, I started heating up food for myself to eat, like for lunch and whatnot while I was doing my work, because I just did not care. The storyline was, Batista needed to avoid Khali's vice grip that just Khali just grabs the head. It's just like having a match full of nothing but rest holds. What does it sound like? Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe at Backlash. It was boring. I didn't like it. And then, of course, we continued the feud to Unforgiven, apparently, because the match ends where Khali hits Batista with some type of like a tree, what's it called? I have it down here on my notes. A tree slam or something like that into a steel chair. Really? If Khali tried to make him look dominating as this big guy, I mean, yes, Batista's like 6'6", 290, but Khali's like 7'4", 420. Then why has what was the point of trying to slam Batista into a steel chair to keep him down? It just didn't feel like, it felt so unnecessary, out of place. Again, I don't blame Batista, but Khali, I never liked him. That's why, of course, he's on my list of Jericho as well. So Khali retains after he gets disqualified, because champions can't change, through disqualification, what I believe. eventually. I can't remember if it was Unforgiven or another pay-per-view. I think there was a triple threat eventually with well, actually, it had to be next pay-per-view because Mysterio just came back. There was a triple threat for the world title between Batista, Khali, and Mysterio, but just a boring, awful match that I just did not care about. Let's move on now to this main event. John Cena versus Randy Orton. A lot of people do give John Cena and Randy Orton a bad rep for having matches because, they have had so many matches together. And it's true. Thank goodness, they have spaced them out. I mean, they feuded in 2014. Well, I'm sorry. They had a match again in 2014 at Hell in a Cell because that was around a time where, there's teasing, Orton's face term. They were writing him off TV for him to be in Condemned 2. So they didn't have another match here until 2017 on SmackDown. So, I mean, I guess, they're at least, pushing off on it, but they had so many matches together for how many freaking years, and it drove us insane. This was probably the beginning of it. But I will give them credit, though, despite the fact that, the match has been overdone how many times, they still are able to put on good matches. And I thought they did so in this match. It had it started off slow, but had that gradual crescendo in the match that made it, more bearable to watch and get into it. I mean, the only problem I had with it was the finish towards the end because, Orton hit the RKO on Cena. He waited a couple seconds before he was able to cover him. It wasn't like that dramatic that Cena could just no-sell the RKO pretty much. And then Cena randomly just hits Orton with an the FU out of nowhere to get the victory. And Cena retains. Of course, this leads to eventually John Cena and Randy Orton continued their feud, but it led to when Cena had suffered that injury. He was supposed to be out for 6 months to a year, but he returned 4 months as a surprise entrant at the 2008 Royal Rumble, and then it picked back up again with them facing. It was around that period of time where either John Cena, Triple H, or Randy Orton were in the WWE Championship picture. It seemed like with Batista, Edge, a couple others here and there. At least it mixed up a little bit more for the world title scene, but for the WWE title scene on Raw, it was either John Cena or Randy Orton or Triple H. It was during that time of the year. But this match, I'll give it. It was still good. By far the best match of the show. But I'm just glad I got through this review because this SummerSlam I thought was just underwhelming. There was nothing too special about it, nothing memorable. I'm not going to remember the show. I mean, again, Cena and Orton was good, but it was not like a match I would go back and watch again. It was just a good match. It just felt like a good main event of Raw, in my opinion. This was an episode of Raw. Because of that, I give this show a D+. D+, one of the worst SummerSlams of all time, I feel, in my honest opinion. I'm done with this show. What's your grade for SummerSlam 2007? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure to always click by subscribe, or content on this channel. Follow me on Twitter @DemandAirBrand. I'm going to check out the first round of the UK tournament now. I'll be back up here later on for my live review of Monday Night Raw. So until then, guys, have a great day, and peace out, everybody. See you all later.